Moses was pasturing the flocks of Jethro, his father-in-law, the chief of Midian, and he led the flocks after the free pasture land. And then he came to the mountain of God, to Horeb. An angel of the Lord appeared to him in a flame of fire from within the thorn bush. And behold, the thorn bush was burning with fire, but the thorn bush was not consumed. So Moses said, "Let me turn now and see this great spectacle. Why does the thorn bush not burn up?" The Lord saw that he had turned to see, and God called to him from within the thorn bush. And he said, "Moses, Moses." And he said, "Here I am." And he said, "Do not draw near here. Take your shoes off your feet, because the place upon which you stand is holy soil." And he said, "I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob." And Moses hid his face because he was afraid to look towards God. And the Lord said, "I have surely seen the affliction of my people who are in Egypt, and I have heard their cry because of their slave drivers, for I know their pains." "I have descended to rescue them from the hands of the Egyptians, and to bring them up from that land, to a good and spacious land, to a land flowing with milk and honey, to the place of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Amorites, the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites. And now, behold, the cry of the children of Israel has come to me, and I have seen the oppression that the Egyptians are oppressing them. So now come, and I will send you to Pharaoh, and take my people, the children of Israel, out of Egypt." But Moses said to God, "Who am I that should go to Pharaoh, and that I should take the children of Israel out of Egypt?" And he said, "For I will be with you, and this is the sign for you that it was I who sent you. When you take the people out of Egypt, you will worship God on this mountain." And Moses said to God, "Behold, I come to the children of Israel, and say to them, 'The God of your fathers has sent me to you.' And they say to me, 'What is his name?' What shall I say to them?" God said to Moses, "Eyeh asher esheh, I will be what I will be." And he said, "So shall you say to the children of Israel, Eyeh, I will be, has sent me to you." And God said further to Moses, "So shall you say to the children of Israel, the Lord God of your forefathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob, has sent me to you. This is my name forever, and this is how I should be mentioned in every generation." "Go and assemble the elders of Israel, and say to them, 'The Lord God of your forefathers has appeared to me, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, saying, I have surely remembered you and what is being done to you in Egypt. And I said, I will bring you up out of the affliction of Egypt to the land of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Amorites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites, to a land flowing with milk and honey. And they will hearken to your voice, and you shall come, you and the elders of Israel, to the king of Egypt, and you shall say to him, The Lord God of the Hebrews has happened upon us, and now let us go for a 3 days' journey into the desert and offer up sacrifices to the Lord our God. However, I know that the king of Egypt will not permit you to go, except through a mighty hand. And I will stretch forth my hand and smite the Egyptians with all my miracles that I will wreak in their midst, and afterward he will send you out. And I will put this people's favor in the eyes of the Egyptians, and it will come to pass that when you go, you will not be empty-handed. Each woman shall borrow from her neighbor and from the dweller in her house silver and gold objects and garments, and you shall put them on your sons and your daughters, and you shall empty out of Egypt. Moses answered and said, Behold, they will not believe me, and they will not heed my voice, but they will say, The Lord has not appeared to you. And the Lord said to him, What is in your hand? And he said, A staff. And he said, Cast it to the ground. And he cast it to the ground, and it became a serpent. And Moses fled before it. And the Lord said to Moses, Stretch forth your hand and take hold of its tail. So Moses stretched forth his hand and grasped it, and it became a staff in his hand. In order that they believe that the Lord, the God of your forefathers, has appeared to you, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And the Lord said further to him, Now put your hand into your bosom. And he put his hand into his bosom, and he took it out, and behold, his hand was leprous, like snow. And he said, Put your hand back into your bosom. And he put his hand back into his bosom, and when he took it out of his bosom, it became again like the rest of his flesh. And it will come to pass that if they do not believe you, that they do not heed the voice of the first sign, they will believe the voice of the last sign. And it will come to pass, if they do not believe either of these two signs, and they do not heed your voice, you shall take of the water of the Nile and spill it upon the dry land. And the water that you take from the Nile will become blood on the dry land. Moses said to the Lord, I beseech you, O Lord, I am not a man of words, neither from yesterday, nor from the day before yesterday, nor from the time you have spoken to your servant, for I am heavy of mouth and heavy of tongue. But the Lord said to him, Who gave man a mouth? Or who makes one dumb and deaf, or seeing, or blind? Is it not I, the Lord? So go, I will be with your mouth, I will instruct you what you shall speak. But he said, I beseech you, O Lord, send now your message with whom you would send. And the Lord's wrath was kindled against Moses. And he said, Is there not Aaron, your brother, the Levite? I know that he will surely speak, and behold, he is coming towards you, and when he sees you, he will rejoice in his heart. You shall speak to him, and you shall put the words into his mouth, and I will be with your mouth and with his mouth, and I will instruct you both what you shall do. And he will speak for you to the people, and it will be that he will be your speaker, and you will be his leader. And you shall take this staff in your hand, with which you shall perform the signs. Moses went and returned to Jethro, his father-in-law, and he said to him, Let me go now and return to my brothers who are in Egypt, and let me see whether they are still alive. So Jethro said to Moses, Go in peace. The Lord said to Moses in Midian, Go, return to Egypt, for all the people who sought your life have died. So Moses took his wife and his sons, mounted them upon the donkey, and he returned to the land of Egypt. And Moses took the staff of God in his hand. The Lord said to Moses, When you go to return to Egypt, see all the signs that I have placed in your hand, and perform them for the Pharaoh. But I will strengthen his heart, and he will not send out the people. And you shall say to Pharaoh, So said the Lord, my firstborn son is Israel. I say to you, send out my son so that he will worship me. But if you refuse to send him out, behold, I am going to slay your firstborn son. Now he was on the way in an inn, that the Lord met him and sought to put him to death. So Zipporah took a sharp stone and severed her son's foreskin and cast it to his feet. And she said, For you are a bridegroom of blood to me. He released him. Then she said, A bridegroom of blood concerning the circumcision. The Lord said to Aaron, Go towards Moses to the desert. So he went to meet him on the mount of God, and he kissed him. And the Lord told Aaron all the words of the Lord with which he had sent him, and all the signs that he had commanded him. So Moses and Aaron went, and they assembled all the elders of the children of Israel. And Aaron spoke all the words that the Lord had spoken to Moses, and he performed the signs before the eyes of the people. And the people believed, and they heard that the Lord had remembered the children of Israel, and that he saw their affliction, and they kneeled and prostrated themselves.